Hi, I'm in Grabham. I fish for So Simple Baits. Today we're at Plantation Lake, so it's a free lake complex. We're on the main lake, which has a good head of carp and some good silvers and that, big skimmers and stuff. Today we'll be doing two tactics. We're starting on the feeder, as you can see now, and then later on we're going to be looking at a short pace line. Both of these are two deadly tactics in the summer. Yeah, and I'm just going to show you what bait we're using and a few little tips and tricks to get more fish on the bank. So first of all, we're going to start off on the feeder. Our setup for today, feeder-wise, we're going to use a 10-foot rod. 10 foot will do you for 78% of your fishing. You know, you can use shorter rod if you've got a smaller cast, or longer rod if you've got a bit of distance. But not too bad. This 10 foot would be right for that. Nice soft tip at the end. You know, I like to be able to see every little indication stuff. We're using the Preston ICS method feeder in 30 gram. This is a large size. This is my go-to in summer. You know, there's a lot of small fish in here that peck up the bait and stuff, and you'll be surprised if you don't put enough in, you won't be building the swim up enough, really. So yeah, that size. If it starts getting a bit funny, we will go down to the slightly smaller one, but I think that would be good to start. Using a 3-inch hook length to a size 14 with band, and then we're going to start on a 4mm gofter. I like 4mm surf. Obviously, it do all different size and range. Sometimes a bigger one's better, but I like the smallest possible when I'm fishing with micros because they're picking up small bait. So on the feeder, we're using the So Simple RTGs, and basically what that means is ready to go. So basically, you know, whereas a lot of other micros that you use, you've got to put water with them, you know, exact amount, leave them for hours to, you know, to soak up, and getting it exactly right is a bit tricky for the feeder. You know, they're either too wet, too dry and stuff like that. And obviously it's prep. You never know how much you're going to need, so sometimes you don't do enough and you've got to do some more, or you know, you overdo it. Basically these are good to go straight out the bag, so you know, you just pour them in like that into your container, and that is ready to go then, exactly how the name is. So they're nice soft pellet. These are the Plantation ones. There's 7 different flavors and colors in the range. You know, we'll show you which ones are in there, but yeah, this is my sort of go-to, and chocolate orange is another favorite of mine. But they're literally all prepared, so you just squeeze it on and they're good to go like that. Break up nice in the water, and yeah, you can't go wrong, really. You know, one thing that I like to do is put my pellets in something with a lid that I can shut, and that's if, you know, these are the exact right consistency to work. Yeah, so you know, if it started to rain or something, I want something that I can just flip over and they don't get wet, you know, to keep them dry, and also keeps the sun off a little bit, because again, you don't want them drying out too much as well. But yeah, like, you know, it can't get any easier, especially for people starting out that, you know, maybe don't know how to exactly sort of, you know, mix up your general pellets. You know, these are brilliant for first time users, but at the end of the day you don't need to use anything else because they're perfect, perfect consistency, and you've always got them to hand. You don't know how much you're going to use, so you put in a little bit at a time, and you can just add some more as you go for whatever you need for the day. One thing that you might have seen me doing in between sort of cast, or just after a cast, is I'm putting a bit of the smog into the bottom of the feeder. So I'm just sort of just squeezing a little bit in like that into the bottom, yeah, and then I'm filling the feeder up halfway like that. So I do that as soon as I've cast out, because then pellets are sitting there ready to go, and that smog is soaking into them pellets. And then again, it's something that I don't need to put on after when I'm waiting to cast. It's already in there ready. All I got to do is drop my hook bait in, put some more pellets over the top, and I'm ready to go. A matter of seconds, I'm back out, kind of thing. So, and with that smog in the bottom, you'll see it soaks in a lot more. It's got time, if the rod's out there 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and all that smog is getting soaked in. So that's one of my little tips, giving away all my secrets here. Right, so one other little tip they're doing, basically where we're fishing to, we're in a bit of a cove, which is a little bit in the shade. Obviously earlier when we turned up, we had a few fish quite quickly, because there was a few fish about the area. But since sun's come out, it's slowed up a little bit, and we've had a few skimmers, small skimmers, and that's naturally because the carp want to be in the sun, and the silvers prefer the shade. So what we're trying to do is get some of the carp into this area, and obviously, some places the fish will come into the sound of the feeder going in, but at the end of the day, it's a bit of metal crashing into the water. So to some carp it's not going to be ideal. So another way I like to bring them in is to use pellets over the top. So feeding pellets. So what I do is I cast out. By the time you've set your line and stuff like that, it's about 30 seconds, and all I'm doing is just got a pot of 8 mils. I either use 6s or 8s. If it was a bit closer, I'd be using 6s ideally, but just out of range to be able to get 6s accurately. So we're using 8 mils, and even just 3 over the tops enough in most cases. Just 3 over the top like that. But because we're in the shade a bit and we're just trying to draw some fish in, I'm just putting 5 in. So we're sort of after 30 seconds of the rod being in, I'm just catapulting some over, and that sound of them noise of them pellets going in, especially on a sunny day like this, they can't naturally want to be up in the water. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring fish into a swim, and then they're coming into the sound, and then we want to try and get them on the bottom. Obviously feeding regular pouches of pellets can bring the fish up into the water at some point, and in a match situation I'd have a waggler set up as well, because obviously these pellets on their own are super attractive. They've got colours that leak off and scents that come up in the water, so they're going to bring the fish up a bit. But if you feed enough of them, I'm not feeding constantly. If I was trying to feed up in the, fish up in the water on a waggler, I'd be pinging loads and loads. But I'm trying to just do, sort of 5 when I first cast out, just to try and get that sound in to bring them to where the feeder is, so then they come down to find the bait. So that's another little tip, just to bring some fish into your peg. Sixth fish of the day, sixth part, a bit bigger than the last one. So what we've done is, obviously, because the sun's out, the fish want to move up in the water, and we're actually fishing in the shade at the moment. We're trying to draw fish in. Like I said, we're sort of putting the pellets in to try and draw them. Obviously, at the start, don't want to make the pellets too attractive because I'm trying to home in off feeder, but we are trying to pull fish in now. So another upgrade that we've done, another little tip is, we've put some smog onto the pellet. So we just doused a bit on, giving them a good shake up, and now they're all coated in the matching Beninian smog for the pellets. So that gives them a coating that dries it, sort of leaves a glaze on them. It'll dry in a bit. And basically what happens when they go into the water, the pellets go down, but you get a nice cloud and scent coming up in the water that any fish over the top, it just draws them down to that feeder. And obviously we didn't have a little bite for a while. There's a lot of skimmers on the spot, and then we put this on, and then we just had that bigger fish. So it's definitely made a difference. And I think as the day goes on, the more you keep putting the bait in, the better it gets, really. So good little tip there. Carp, getting bigger as well, about the same as the last one. Since we've put the Beninian smog onto the pellets, onto the 8 mil pellets that we're feeding, definitely made a difference. It's drawn more fish into the peg. That last cast was only in the water 40 seconds, went off, I cast it out, sunk the line, 30 seconds, after 30 seconds I catapulted sort of 4-8 mils over the top, and within 10 seconds more they've robbed us off. So definitely making a little edge to think about if you're struggling with bites. Just stuff like that just makes all the difference. If people aren't coating their hook bait, their free offerings, it's just a little extra boost you can do that other people might not think about.
Well, now it's taking me for some good food, apparently. They got down here. Let's go see what it's about. Don't get that often when you're fishing.
Right, well, we've spent a few hours this morning on the feeder. We've had 7 carp total and quite a few little skimmers. Obviously with the sun out it's been a little bit trickier, but from looking around the lake, there's a few people that haven't caught yet, so we've done alright. So 7 fish in a couple of hours, pretty good, and we've been filming and sorting bits out. Another thing we wanted to show today is one of my favourite ways to fish, and that is pace fishing. So absolutely brilliant pace fishing. It's one of them ones where it's sort of love it, hate it type thing. It's frustrating, it's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding. When you get fish on it, you can't beat the bites on it, and there's a good chance of picking up the bigger fish on this. So yeah, we'll show you how we mix up the bait now.
Brilliant.
Right, now onto the bait that we're going to use and fishing paste. Now, a few of the key things with paste is, first one, you want a nice big container to mix it in, even if you're mixing a small amount, something good that you can really mix it around. I always use one with a lid because obviously we're mixing it with water and we're getting that exact right consistency that we want. So if it started to split the rain, or I think we're alright today, but I can just flip the lid over and it's not going to get, you know, any wetter and ruin it. Plus it'll keep the sun off of it a little bit, stop it drying off. Another key thing to have is some water. Obviously when you pick it up, it'll get all on your hands. You need to be able to wash your hands off, and then a towel to dry your hands before you touch your pole, because you will get it everywhere. It's a messy but fun way of fishing. Initially, to our initial feed, you know, to kick off the swim, we're going to feed hemp, nice hemp, and some 4 mil chocolate orange pellets. Now, some people feed micros, which you can do, but I've had a plumb up and it's quite silty here, so I think micros were sort of, you know, they'll be all over the place. So again, 4 mils and hemp are two bit heavier baits that's going to keep to the bottom. You know, we're going to dump a load in and then add a bit of the paste over top, break up a few bits. But the idea is we'll build the peg with the paste each time we go in. You know, you're going to miss a lot of bites with paste, but each time you miss a bite, that's a lump that you're essentially building your swim up with. You know, the same as when we're on a feeder, we're putting pellets in and that we're building that swim up. So you're going to miss bites, but it's not a problem with paste, you know, because it's helping the swim. So that's two baits. So, and obviously the star of the show is going to be the paste. So we're going to show how to mix it up now. So what we're going to use is, this is my favourite mix for paste, is chocolate orange ground bait. They do this in the light and dark, so if you're fishing a bit clearer water, I'd maybe use the dark, and again the Crush Expand, they do dark in this, but here it's quite coloured water. You know, we're in the middle of summer, a lot of activity. I want something nice and bright on the bottom. You know, you've got the dark hemp and that, they're rooting around, and then you've just got this bright bait in the middle. So all I do for this is I always mix the dry ingredients to the water. So what we're going to do is, now you can mix up all different amounts, but I'm going to do 2 of them. This fresh water, I've cleaned it out. So 2 of them go into our thing with the mix. So we're going to put this dry into here, like that. Yeah. Again, level it off. You know, same place that I've done the water up to that line. So we've got that one. So we've done drying that one out, and we're going to get this one. Now, with mixing up paste, we want all the bits to sort of break down into that sort of pasty mix. So we need to be quite quick. So I don't want to, you know, I could fill this one up, chuck that in, then pour another one, but then that first batch is mix it up, and then the other stuff might not get as much water. So I want to dump it all in at once and then give it a good mix around. It's messy and that, but thing. So I'm going to go boom, like that, yeah. Then we've got to work it now. Okay, so getting all these lumps out and that. Right, we've got to be quick because everything's trying to soak up the water. So we want to make sure that we get rid of all of the dry areas. So that's all mixed together. Yeah. This, you know, that's like that. It's sort of soft and that, and you know, we've only just put it in, so we'll leave that for a bit and everything will sort of break down a bit. But I mean, I'd fish it like that. I'd happily fish it like that as it is. It's nice, it's not sticking to my hand really. It's good like that. You know, you can vary your pace, you can fish it wetter than that, but if you've got a lot of small fish hitting it on the way down, they can knock it off. So I always rather mix it on the dry side, you know, and then you've got the option to add more water and make it wetter. But if you make it too wet, then you can't bring it back without adding dry ingredients. So then you've got to try and get it into all of it, you see. So I'd rather just do that. And what what I do is, if I want it wetter, I just sort of put some water in the middle and mix the middle wetter, but leave it dry around the side. Then I can always go back to a drier mix. But again, that's already, it's firming up more. It will get a lot more dry than this. And like I said, then I'll add water in the middle and as we go. But I mean, you know, what carp or even big skimmer, what can't resist that, this idea of sort of fishing over silty areas, because it just sits on the bottom and they're going to pick it out. So yeah. Pellets and some of the paste, and we'll leave that now until we get signs of bubbling and we think something's on there. It could take, well, the bubbles coming now, but yeah, sometimes it can take half an hour, sometimes it can take a couple of hours. Paste is one of them ones, it might take a while to get going. Sometimes it might be the afternoon, but when they're on it, they're on it. So we'll see how that goes and stuff. So for the we'll talk about the rig and what we're doing and the spot and that. So basically I'm using 15 Duraslip elastic. It's nice heavy duty elastic. We don't need to go any higher than that because we're out in open water. We want the fit, we want to be able to control them without, as soon as I'm hitting the elastic, spooking off. We want them to be able to pull a bit out before they go. But there is some big fish in there, so we need something we can control them with. So 15 would be good. Then we're going down to 017 line. With pace fishing, there's a lot of variables, and everyone's got their own preferences of floats, lines, how the rig's set up, stuff like that. Some people prefer just a normal float. I like the Preston pace floats because the line comes out the top of the out the top of the stem, the tip kind of thing, and it's nice long, a long bristle and that. So when I show you how I plumb it up, I can tell you how this will work and stuff like that. Again, so we're coming down to it. We've got 3.5 foot of depth. Now with pace fishing, obviously fish can attack it on the way down and stuff, and you can fall off, and that sort of 3 to 4 foot is ideal for pace. Depth. If you can get that, that's brilliant. Like the deeper it is, the harder it is to fish because it's more like to come off and that, and it sort of drifts as it's going down. So we've got a really good sort of depth here. Now again, like I said, some people fish it all different, and some people will fish mainline all the way through down to the hook. I prefer to do a hook length, so I've got 017 mainline to an 015 6-inch hook length with a number 12 hook, nice big hook. Like you can even use a number 10. At the end of the day, you're using a big lump of paste. A big hook will be buried in there, but it's a big hook that helps to keep it on. If you had a little size 18, it would just fall off. Yeah, so I use a hook length just in case I do get something break. I know it's going to break there and I'm not going to use my rig, I can put new hook length on, stuff like that. And then we come to the paste pot. Now there's different pots available. Now what's different between a paste pot and a normal pot is, if you look this hole through here, so this one is a lot bigger, and the reason why is because with paste fishing you put your bait, it's too soft to just ship out, so you've got to put it into the pot to ship out your hook bait. So with this one, this would come a lot further down without falling off. This one would, you know, by the time it gets to sort of here, it's fallen off, you see, so I can come further down, and depending on the depth is how far you want to come back, because basically the idea is, I'll show you, if I put my plummet on for a minute, so if you imagine this is our paste, because it's so soft, if I just went like that it would fall off. So the idea is you do your paste and you put it in your pot like that, right? And there. The reason why you have your cup set further back is so then it creates this loop here, because if it was up here when you're shipping out, all this line can tangle around the float, go like that, so this creates a loop. Yeah. Now your lash size, so from your pole to the end of your float, again would depend on if it's windy, how deep it is, how far you're going out on that. You know, you can have this really short if it's not a windy day. If you can have this really short, so as soon as they pull it down, they literally pull out the elastic, so it's almost self-hooking. But the wind's meant to get up a little bit later, so I'd rather have a little bit there, because with paste fishing, you cannot move once it's in. You cannot move that float. It needs to stay in the same spot, because you just pull it out the bait. So I want a little bit, and at the end of the day, you know, when a paste bite goes, you know about it, so you've got time to pull up, and you actually want to leave it when the float goes in. You want to leave it a second before striking to make sure it's on. So that's our rig and how we've got it set up. So I'll just show you where we're fishing and how we've plumbed up. So today I'm fishing just top kitten 2. Again, like I said, paste fishing, it'll fall off a lot, you get fish knock it off, you get missed bites, you're constantly in and out. You know, it's not like fishing a bit of corner maggots. If you miss a bite, you pick it up and you can reset it. You're in and out constantly. It's a very involved way of fishing, but like I said, very rewarding way. So yeah, so I've come in closer, one because it's slightly harder bottom, and two, I want to be, you know, convenient. You know, there's no point going out miles because of how much you're in and out, so we just got to I'm doing, obviously trying to keep the feed going in, try and track the carp. This skimmers are definitely there, but we're trying to get the carp in as well. So what I'm doing is, rather than big potting in the bait, I'm taking a sort of pinch of 4 mils and a pinch of hemp, and then I'm getting my paste, and as you can see we're fishing it quite wet now. Look, I'm putting all that on. Now that's nice and sticky, so when I'm putting that in now, all the hemp and the pellets are sticking to that ball, so when I tip it out, you know, so rather than them sitting on the top, putting it in, and it sort of pushes down into the pellets and the hemp, so they're stuck to it, so all that goes right down onto where all the paste goes onto the ground, onto the bottom. lean forward, bring it back, and let it settle, just keep the line on. Carp is there's some good bring to be had on it as well. That one's a sort of 2.5 pounds. There's a lot bigger ones than that in it, and yeah, even the big bring like paste. Mirror to end on. Nice fish. So yeah, we've caught well on both methods, on the feeder and on the paste. Hopefully picked up a few bits of what bait use and how we mix it up, and a few little tips and tricks. So yeah, it's been a good day. If you like the video, make sure you like it and subscribe to it, and leave a comment. If you think you've learned from it, and we'll see you on the next one.